Kia ora, New Zealand. Welcome to Sweet Chain Live. My name's Matt Drake. This is episode 88. Good evening. Oh, bit of a rush today, Brady, to be honest. I thought I was doing all right, and then turns out last minute, rushing again. How are you?
Doing all right. I was enjoying the sunshine today, and it was nice and crisp. Unfortunately, everybody else in the country got snow, us in Wellington, or at least me in Mount Vic. I didn't get anything, so I was a little disappointed. But hey, beggars can't be choosers. Hoping for sunny days like this out at Berhampore. Played a late evening round last night. It was gorgeous playing out after 7. Had the whole course to myself. You been playing much these days, Matt?
Yeah, so you're very right. It was very crisp earlier on. I think that's a pretty good word to describe it. Freezing cold is another way to describe it. I did actually get to a new course for me on Saturday last week, which was Poole Crescent Reserve in Wainuiomata. So if you're in Wellington and you've not played down at Poole Crescent, I'd encourage you to. It's a lovely little course. One that fairly short, but some technical aspects, really nice. Homemade, so there was a lot of the baskets are they look like baskets, but they're things like a bike wheel with chains hanging down into a tire, that kind of thing. Real kind of old school and real kind of grassroots, I would say. Met a group of people walking their goat, which was a highlight. So yeah. Anyway, right. We got a great show for you today. We've got hot scores first up from around the country, and then we're going to go through some results of tournaments recently. Then we've got quite an interesting segment on Room 101. Now you'll recall that Room 101 was the torture room in George Orwell's 1984, and it was also the name of a relatively obscure BBC comedy show, which you may have seen if you were living in the UK in the late 90s. And it's this segment of the show is going to be me and Brady talking about what are our disc golf pet hates? What do we really want to cast into Room 101 to never have to see again? We've got a couple each to go through, and let us know in the comments. Actually, we'd be really keen to know what would you like to cast into Room 101. So let us know. We're going to go up over all of the upcoming events and also go through the updated rankings after Armageddon at the weekend. Brady, take us through the South Island's hot scores.
Hot scores once as ever, starting in Invercargill, going down to Queen's Park, and Jono Finley shooting the hot round of -12 this week. Up in Dunedin, let's go to Chingford, and Amazio Jutel, one off his score last week, comes in at -5 for the hot round this week. And in Brockville, Ephraim Russell dethrones Tom McKay. Ephraim shoots -4 for the hot round in Brockville. Going down to the Wakatipu Basin, Queenstown Garden, Auckland's own Richard Watterson making an appearance, coming in at 11 under par for the hot round of the Gardens. And out at Tucker's Beach, always sunny, Jin Cato comes in at -2. Up over the Crown Range to Wanaka, Ely Point, Ryan Cambridge coming in with a -4 for the hot round. And for the Wanaka washout, we also have Ryan Cambridge shooting 11 under par at Lismore Park. Up to the Garden City, let's go to the busiest course in the country, Jelly Park. Ashton Clark and Caleb Betteridge coming in at 11 under par at Jelly this week. Over to Brooker Ave, Jeremy Brockenshire shoots a -5, taking out the hot round. And at Queen's Park Reserve, we have Jono Scott coming in at -5 as well. Seems like -5 is the theme this week for the Garden City. Warren Park, Matt Van Ort comes in at -5 for the hot round to round out the South Island. Matt, how about you run us through the North?
In the North Island, starting at Berhampore, it's Francis Orange who takes out the hot round at Berhampore with a -8. Congratulations to Francis. At a Koi Koi Reserve, Francis Orange does it again. He's gone with 4 under par. You can tell he passed his driving test recently. And Andy Davey also with 4 under par. Up at Harcourt Park, it's Evan Williams who shoots 5 under. And at Linklater, Arthur Horn hits the hot score with 7 under par. Over at Maryland's, it's Dwayne Goodman hits the hot score with a 5 under. And at Spa Park Black, Matthew Masters hits 3 under par. Up to McLaren's, Paris Holstead hits 3 under. And up at Henderson, it's Richard Watson who hits 10 under par. So well done to everybody this week. Some good scores there. There was also some good scores at the Armageddon at Redstone in Nelson. Now, last week we had the team, the organization team, were on the show talking us through the tournament. And let's just have a quick look at the results. Brady, you were there. You were filming, so you had a pretty good view of Joseph Berry's 10:31 rated final round. That was the hot score of the competition as he walked away with a 12-shot lead. New Zealand 4 wins. How was it?
It was great. Such a different experience being on the lead card and filming it rather than playing on it. Great working with Chris. I apologize to Chris in advance, and I'm apologizing to Chris now. Apparently, I still talked too much during the round, even though I kept my mouth shut from what I thought was normally. Joseph was shooting hot. I mean, to be fair, he still missed the easy ones. It easily could have been a 15 or 16 under par. He really did kind of I don't necessarily say like lose focus, just kind of got some bad breaks on those shorter holes. Like Ashton put in a great battle. I can't wait to see it. Ashton was pushing. They basically went like 6 down through 7 holes, both of them. And then Ashton's like, I need to start eagling things. I need to start birdieing everything. So he started to push. Unfortunately, he caught some bad breaks, caught some out of bounds. And so those 2-3 couple holes at 2-shot swings to Joe is when he's already in the lead, didn't catch it. Yeah. Luca had some great putts. I can't wait to see the steppers. Ryan Kiddo, who is on feature card, also had some great step putts. So yeah, there should be some great highlights all around from the weekend.
It's a tricky kind of margin, that kind of 6-shot lead, which Joseph took into the final round. Obviously, he won't have been thinking, I can cruise here because Ashton's more than capable of catching up. But then again, Ashton's you really got to work hard to beat someone by 6 shots in a round. So yeah, very well done to Joe for taking out the MPO division. Looking down, we had Eilish Kumak took out the ladies divisions with a 4 under par, 9 shots clear of Amy Whitmore. And in the Pro Masters, it was very competitive. Les Payne takes it with a 4-shot lead over Young Ha. Down in advance, Ruben Cossi beats Sam Mark by 2 shots, and MA40 Hayden Shaw takes it out by 4 shots over Ben Cooper.
Yeah, it was great job by Hayden running the event and winning his division. That was really well done. Les had a pretty cruisy out in the front, but that was a great battle there. Actually, I remember when Sue came up to play in Women's Global, she was saying, feel free to come visit Deneen every time, just don't bring Kath. But it proves, Sue taking out the win. It's by 1 stroke as well. Yeah. So, it was a nice tight fought battle.
And if you look at it, Kath wins that final round by 6 shots. So it was real fighting back in that last round. So that would have been incredible in the closing stages. Right. Excellent stuff. Right. So we had Nelson coverage, which was last weekend. And you were behind the camera. You're going to be the other side of the camera this weekend. Yep. At the Topor Thermal Throwdown. How are you feeling? Prepped and ready?
A bit nervous. I got out yesterday, did some putting today. Just trying to relax and get my head into it. I've been traveling. Me and Hayden, we were joking about it in Nelson that we're doing 3 tournaments in a row. So we did Tauranga, and then we did Armageddon, and then now we're going to the Topor Thermal Throwdown. I'm hoping to just take it easy, relax into the weekend. It should be a nice short drive up tomorrow afternoon after work. Mm-hmm. looking forward to those late hours, getting some sunshine in. I'll get a practice round at the end of the day. And yeah, just hoping it's going to be a little warmer in Topor. Like a single digit round would be a bit brisk, I would think, for a spring tournament. So yeah, I'd have to jump in the river, keep myself warm.
I would hope so. You've got a fellow teammate, Francis Orange, who's going to be joining you on the on the feature card. Sorry, which will be nice.
Oh yeah, that'll be great. Francis has kind of been playing out of his skin. I played with him. We had a practice round together up at Extreme, and yeah, he's just kind of really coming into his own. Has like a forehand that I'd kill for. Great backhand, great putt, and so yeah, it's when his putt is on, Francis is great. Yeah. So yeah, it should be a little. Hopefully, we'll get some great highlights out of him and myself. Like some nice sweet chain action going on in Topor. So yeah, it'll be a fun round regardless. I really enjoy. Kind of the like banter and competition against Francis. So especially, man, 8 down. So he tied course record at Berhampore this week, going up into leading into Spa Park up north. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to share around with him, share some sweet chain action, and yeah, get some coverage again. It'll be fun. I've not been filmed by T-Box before, so it'll be exciting to work with a new crew.
I'm looking forward to the to the coverage coming out. It's good. It's been a little bit of time actually, I think, since we've had some New Zealand disc golf coverage come out on post-produced stuff come out. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing that. Excellent. Right. We'll come on to picks for Topor in a bit. But now I'd actually like to. This is quite an interesting topic and something that we were kind of talking that we ought to do a little segment on this. We all love disc golf, right? Disc golf's great, and you're probably watching this podcast because you love playing the sport, and I'm making this podcast because I love playing the sport. But there are things which annoy you, and there are things which grind, and there are things which you kind of will, for want of a better phrase, hack you off. And what we want to know is, well, what are those things, and should we cast them into oblivion? Should we stick them into room 101, never to be seen again? And so yeah, so we've got a few of these now. I've got two. Brady, you've got a couple of things. How do you want to play this? Because the idea is that you got to convince me, and I've got to try and convince you that the thing that we hate the most should be cast into room 101. Now, if you're listening and you've got some things which really hack you off, stick it in the comments below. We'd love to hear what they are, and you never know. We'll see what we can. We'll see what we end up casting into oblivion. Brady, getting big putted, nothing worse. Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is annoying, but not annoying for the person who big putted. They're happy with that. So whether we can stick it into room 101 or not, I don't know. Because
well, here, how about, speaking of putting? How about I start us off?
Go on, then. You start.
Okay, so give me just a second. I want to. I want to share my screen. So yeah, the idea of speed of play. Speed of play is one of the things that really kind of bugs me off. If that makes sense. So let's just do this. There we go. Boom.
Speed of play is something which annoys you?
Yeah, it annoys the crap out of me because speed of play is supposed to. So disc golf's all about kind of etiquette, right? And that it shares that theme with golf, and the fact that it's about honor and etiquette, and knowing when it's your turn to throw, playing in the appropriate amount of time. And like 30 seconds is not a lot of time unless you're Nico Lacastro, and then it's about a minute and a half.
And look where he's got. He's banned for 6 months, right? So
exactly. So this idea that, and I see it all the time in New Zealand, of like, oh, speed of play, like you miss a putt, it hits the cage, it chains out, whatever it is, and you're pissed off, right? And so like the idea that you don't have the wherewithal to be like a professional about it, and to like kind of hold yourself and to tap out, like, or to like let other people play. So that idea of Yeah, the speed of play should be, it's about etiquette. And so this idea that you should talk to, you should be able to hold your toys in the cot for 30 seconds to let someone else take their putt, and then you can tap out. So I think speed of play should go in the room.
Okay. So you're talking about when people use it as an excuse for kind of just wanting to be over with the hole and moving on. They just go, speed of play, and without really checking, without doing the whole kind of, do you mind if I go, that kind of thing. It's just to use as a throwaway comment to justify an action that they're frustrated.
Yeah. It's just, an excuse to be a child. It's just like, if you want to be a child, you can take that and go in the room.
All right. Okay. But let me be devil's advocate here, right? Let me be devil's advocate, because people are people. And especially in sanctioned rounds, and especially in big competitions, or even in rounds where there might just be a bag tag up for grabs, right? You get excited, and sometimes it's easy for that emotion to take hold of the situation, to take hold of the moment, and for you to just want to be over with the hole, right? You've missed this putt. It might be from not very far away, and you just frustrate. You want to get over with it, and you just want to get on to the next hole, right? So I would say, is there any kind of do you have any tolerance for it in any situation, or do you just, is this like blanket? No, you should be cast into oblivion. Is that
blanket? No,
blanket? No.
It's not, okay, I'm going to play this hole by myself, and then you can play the hole by yourself, and then we can score, like on the next tee pad. We're playing as a card. I'm not playing alone. So this idea of speed of play, it's like the person farthest from the basket goes first, So speed of play should be get rid of in the room.
Okay, well, look, if you're guilty of doing what Brady's just done, however, you also agree with him, as Bray Marsden has humbly admitted to, then let us know. Put hashtag guilty in the comments below if you find you've done that. I'll be honest. Can I post?
You're gonna put hashtag guilty.
I am, because because I am guilty of doing that. Yeah. But look, I have to say on this subject, it is, as someone who respects the rules, I have to agree with you, especially in a sanctioned round and in a competition format. I think it's something which you really have to. Mike Foley loves speed of play.
I love that. No, point. If it's a rule, make it a rule. If it's not a rule, don't put it in the book. If you just want to take turns of like, you're on the green, okay, the person who is farthest away finishes putting out and takes 3, 4, 5, 7 putts, whatever it is, great. But that's not the rule. The rule is who's ever farthest away, it's their turn to throw. They have 30 seconds to throw.
It's interesting because I've been playing a lot of birdie disc golf, as you may know. And in that game, you're encouraged to putt out. So when you land on the green, you just keep going until you get it in, right? So would that work? Would something like that work, right? So you're first, so you wait till people are on the green or within circle 2, within that kind of area. But as soon as you take your first shot within circle 2, it's then yours until you putt it, right? What do you think of that? Would that work? I know it's not the rule, but would it work as a way of playing?
I mean, I'm sure video coverage, Chris can probably attest to this from Armageddon. The idea that, like allowing players to putt out so that the winner can make the final putt and be the last putt in the basket would be nice because everyone else can kind of putt out. Taking turns might work. It's one of those things that I miss it from ball golf. Like the idea that people and players putt with their bags on. You don't bring your bag or your cart onto the golf green. You leave it off to the side. So you only bring your putter onto the green. I'd love to see something like that introduced, and this idea of the kind of like, again, honor and etiquette on the green. Like, why not? Sweet. Bags have to be left outside the 10 meter or arguably 15, 20 meter circle. But that pet hate might come in one of my later points.
Okay, so let me ask you then. Before we'll very quickly address Ryan's point. He's put, what if I'm parked and someone else has missed an easy putt? And to give them a second to compose themselves, you ask speed of play and tap out. Now, I think you're probably okay with that because you're asking them if it's okay. Is that right?
But I would argue that he's just like, yes, I agree, giving him a time to compose themselves, but they still have the time to walk over to their lie, address themselves, and putt out. And the idea of it's
still got
still
that 30 seconds to compose themselves there.
Yep. And aren't you interrupting their composure by saying, like, oh, may I play through? May I putt out? Because it's up to them to allow you. They could say no. And if you putt out, that's technically a courtesy violation because you've asked for speed of play and they have denied you.
Well, there we are. So, what do you think? Is that something which should come in? And I've got a question for you, Brady, because this is not in the rules to do this, right? What you're describing, it's clearly against the rules, and yet it still happens. Do you call people for a courtesy violation when you see it happening on your card?
Ooh, good question. Courtesy, would it'd be a warning first?
Of course, yeah, of course. Warning first, then a 1-stroke penalty the second time it happens, and every subsequent time.
Honestly, normally I don't, because people, when they do speed of play, like it's the person who should be putting and whose turn it actually is then lining up for their putt. And the idea of it's kind of like a foot fault idea of, I normally mention like a foot fault of like at the end of a round, like if I notice someone is deliberately, or from what it appears to me, deliberately foot faulting or potentially casually, it's most of the time casually foot faulting. I'll be like, hey, like I did notice a couple times, like when you are in the fairway or behind a tree, like you need to watch where you're placing your footing, like in that. So yeah, a lot of the times the next person is ready to putt. So I don't call them because the next person's thing. And then it's kind of a like New Zealand standard at this point. But like for the most part, I myself try to honor whose turn it is and then make sure if I am calling speed of play, I am waiting for that confirmation from that player before I tap out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I have to say I agree. So we're gonna put speed of play.
Speed of play is in room 101.
Speed of play gets chucked into room 101 into the oblivion for us never to be seen again. Right.
How about you, Matt? What's your pet hate?
Well, I've got two, and the one is related to putting. We'll get to that in a moment. Just give me 1 second, though. I just need to find a prop.
Leave in the comments if you think props are allowed. Mike Foley brings up while Matt's finding his tools of the trade. I thought the rule had changed last year, and speed of play is a given. It is a given if you're Pete Boyle. Feel free to look it up if you can cite it. It's really easy to search in the PDGA. I can't because I'm hosting the call. But yeah, Mike or Jack Matthew, you also mentioned that you thought it was a given. If you can find it in the PDGA rulebook, just leave in the comments what section it's under. So that we can share it with the tribe. What are you looking for, man?
You'll see.
Okay.
I mean, guessing if you can work it out.
Well, I hear plastic in the background, so I'm presuming there's a disc involved in this pet hate. So you must hate a disc on the market currently, which is interesting being a retailer. So theoretically, now is this a retail disc or is this a disc you throw or don't throw? Yeah, so it sounds like I'm on the right track. So if you have a disc that you hate, if you want to see it discontinued, if it is the gimmiest, weirdest, stupidest disc, leave a disc in your comment, your least favorite disc. Well, let's see if anyone can guess what Matt's pet hate is.
Can anybody guess? My one is this. I would like to cast the RPM Kia into room 101.
The fire.
Sorry?
Cast it into the fire. You were there that day.
That is absolutely right. Look, the reason that I want to put this disc into room 101 is because I think it's and I know the key is close to a lot of people's hearts, right? There'll be a lot of people who will, Jack will probably never talk to me again. However, right, I think this is the ugliest disc that has been made. This one's a magma hard, Mike. But a Strata Kia. I'd really struggle with a Strata Kia, to be honest.
So you're specifically talking about like the Strata hard, like RPM starter pack Kia,
no.
or the Kia in general, any plastic?
It's the Kia in general, and it's got nothing to do with its flight path, right? I've got no issue with the way it flies, right? Because I've got discs which fly very similarly, and actually it's a very useful disc to have in terms of its flight path, etc. The reason I'm casting it into room 101 is that it's ugly. And the reason why it's ugly, in my view, is it's got this kind of where the dome goes, and then it goes, I'm going to square off here. And I just don't like it. I just don't like the way it looks. I just don't like it. I don't know what more to say. It's not a nice disc for me to look at. And I think that's important for me, right? And that's important, right? And I'll tell you why. The disc golf's many things. It's a sport. It's a game. It's a pastime. It's a thing that people do to waste time. And it's also a thing that people do to be incredibly good at and to practice at and to take very seriously. So it applies to a lot of people across a lot of different things, right? One of the things that it also is it's a thing of beauty. To see a disc get thrown off, particularly like a high tee, let's say hole 10 at Berhampore, hole 1 at Maple Hill, hole, there'll be your local hole, insert your local favorite hole here, where you get to see a disc fly for miles and miles and miles. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And many of the discs, actually, when you hold them in your hand, are an absolute joy. The Latitude Trust, for example, is an absolute joy to hold in the hand. And the Kia is, in my view, just doesn't look nice. I just don't like it. I just don't like it.
Okay, so I need to play devil's advocate here, right? Because like I also happen to be able to throw like 2 under par using a Magma Soft Kia at Berhampore. So I know that they're good discs and that they fly well.
Yeah, but there are other discs that have got similar flight paths, right? You could throw you could probably get round Berhampore 2 under with a slammer, right? Or you could get round Berhampore 2 under with a with a Berg, probably, right? And yet they're similar discs in terms of the Kia's probably a bit faster, but they're similar sort of discs. They do a not too dissimilar kind of thing. So why defend the Kia? Because it's the flight path of the disc.
Okay. Well, so based on ugliness, we also out there's the Innova Gator, which is what the Kia is based on, is also very similar to the Innova Cayman. Even a Discraft Zone arguably is very similar in the blunty edge. Or if we're talking,
but the Zone's nice and flat. It's got a flat top, so you expect.
Okay, so you don't like the blunt and the dome. So
I don't like the blunt and the dome. That's right.
Okay, so
be domey or be blunty, right? But don't try and be
So what about like groove tops, like a Banger GT or a Groove or like a Rast with like that weird under groove?
Yeah, no, but they're unique and there's a purpose to the design, right? So the groove track is meant for your thumb, and the Rask, the underside of a Rask, which if you haven't seen it, it's got like a second lip on the like a concentric inner lip, if you like, on the underside. Which is supposed to make it fly further, And it was the first disc that Cast produced, actually. And I think that's a lovely disc. Horrible to throw. But yeah, that's. But remember that this is purely based on the way it looks.
Well,
so sorry,
Mike
RPM fans. I have to
Mike
disagree.
Foley brings up that there are flat top Kias. So you mentioned that like the dome is fine, the blunt is fine, but the dome with the blunt is ugly as sin. So that's why it deserves to go in room 101.
Yeah, but if it's a flat top, so how is why are they different then? Why aren't they two different discs if they're discernibly different?
Have you seen runs of RPM discs? I mean, you sell runs of RPM discs.
Well, no, yeah, I know, but I guess it's a rhetorical question, really. But I know, I've seen flat top Kias, and I'm sure they fly even better than the domey ones. They want to hit the ground even more, which for the kind of shot that you likely want to play means you can rip on them quite hard. I should imagine, and still be okay. But I just don't like the look of them. It's too boxy around the edge. It's got this. I don't like a bead either. Given a choice, I wouldn't have a bead. And it's got like a
So you're basically saying you just want a zone.
I'd take a zone. I'd take I'd take a zone. But then I don't think
Harp has a bead. You could Cayman has a mini bead. Like zone sounds perfect. So really, RPM just stinks in that like 4-speed area when it comes to beautiful discs. Though to be fair, like that stamp is kind of pretty. I do like the Kia stamp. So like if you just like hold your hands over the edge of the disc and just looked at the stamp, would it be pretty enough to stay out of room 101?
Oh, yeah. Look, the stamp's nice, right? The stamp's nice. I can't disagree there. But then you could put a stamp on any disc, right? You could put that stamp on a Kurtadi. Kia is greater than a zone. I have to disagree with there, Bruce. I have to disagree.
Bruce, them's fighting words, my friend.
Sorry. I think you're going to struggle to convince both of us or either of us on that one. But yeah, no, so I would like to put the RPM Kia into room 101.
I perhaps could I can't throw all of the disc away. Like we have to at least keep the stamp.
So you want to keep the top plate, but the rim goes into room 101. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I mean, like I kind of the Kia has that funny appeal to me because it is that like dome plus that. It's one of the few RPM discs that I enjoy as a hyzer flip player. The fact that it has the dome so that I can flip it up, but then it has that blunt as ugly as nose of it has that you hate, brings it back. So I love that. Like I beat my Strata into oblivion and I can't throw it because it's too flippy now. But like just because of the stamp, I can't throw the whole thing away. So like, could we hang it on the door of room 101?
Well, we can
wall art. Put it over the door handle as in like a do not disturb.
Yeah, okay. If it's as long as it's obvious from where you see it that you can't see the rim of
just like a little porthole. Think like like at the old school designers. Okay,
no problem because then it's just a lovely piece of artwork, and a lot of the RPM artwork's fantastic. And so I don't have an issue with that.
Okay, so it is in the window of room 101.
And Mike, yes, I have seen Jacko throw one, and I don't doubt that he's incredibly good with it. In fact, I know that he's incredibly good with one, and I'm not doubting the disc as an instrument to play disc golf with. Right? What I'm arguing with is that it's an ugly disc. It flies, and I'm sure very well for a lot of people, and it flies in a way that fits a lot of people's bags, but in my view, it's ugly.
I think Ryan calls it right. Like it doesn't fly; it whistles. That's how greatly designed it is in the aerodynamics of discs. I mean, I can match you. There's one disc that I wish I could chuck in room 101.
There is.
Can you guess what that disc is? Yeah, one for me. One disc that should belongs in room 101.
Go on.
So that is.
You don't own one, clearly.
No, gosh, no.
It's not an aerobie, is it? You're not going to pull something that's not PDGA approved.
It is PDGA approved. A lot of people throw it, and I've told a lot of people to stop throwing it, but they don't believe me. And then they lose it, and I tell them to not buy another one.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm interested now. Yeah, go on. What is it? What? Oh, okay. My God, I can't see it from the small picture there. You're going to have to make it bigger. What is it? A Mamba. Oh dear. Oh my word. You want to put a Mamba into room 101. You're right. You've got a job here because there are new players, juniors and ladies, all up and down the country going, that's my go-to driver. Go for it.
Kath knows. She knows what it is. She knew it was coming. She's one of the people I've told, never throw this again. This does not belong in your bag. It does not go where you think it goes.
Yeah. So what's your problem with it then? Why don't you like the Mamba?
Let's just go with that. Let's go with false advertising. This idea that it's beginner friendly and that it's like anyone can throw it and it's this point and shoot great for beginners. I've seen more beginners throw that disc poorly. Don't get me wrong. I hate that. And I hate a Mamba in the hands of a new player. So someone who's playing like less than 6 months, just as much as I hate a destroyer. But I know a new player with a destroyer is going to learn more about their game and enjoy disc golf more than trying to throw and figure out a Mamba.
Yeah. No, I can get this. So a Mamba won't teach anybody to throw better. It'll absorb a lot of bad technique, is I think what you're saying.
But the problem is there's too much bad technique for it to even absorb. Like Mamba it's like, oh, this throws straight and it's great for beginning players, and like they still flip it over. Or in the great example, thank you very much, Ryan Kiddo. If that is a Mamba, I probably can't call myself a disc golf player, because what the heck? If anyone has seen Blair Jones throw his Mamba on a hyzer flip, that is the most stable Mamba I have ever seen in existence.
Can you bring the picture back up again? Because it's quite an interesting, because there is something on the picture there that you may not.
Oh, that I missed? Share. And you need to. Oh, I think that's as big as I can get. Can you see it?
Yeah. So your issue is with the turn value, right? The -5.
Yep.
And you're saying that? Are you saying that those numbers are a lie, and that it doesn't throw like a -5?
Nope. Correct. False advertising.
So if you had to put numbers onto a Mamba, what would you say? Is the 11's pretty fixed because it's the width of the rim? They're quite glidey though, aren't they? I think they're pretty glidey from what I've seen.
6 is all right, but I think you need. So those
like a -3 or something.
No, because that'd be a katana. And like that actually flies like a -3.3. Like I've watched Morgan throw those a country mile on a vertical hyzer flip. How he does it, I don't know. Generation disc golf things. But do you know those like magic pictures that of Spider-Man where you like move it back and forth and he stands normal and then like he's throwing a punch when you look at it a certain way?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you would need one of those numbers because like on every Mamba, because one Mamba is going to be a -3, one Mamba is going to be a -6, one Mamba is going to be a -4.7.
Okay, so I come back to a point that you raised earlier about the RPM plastic. Isn't that just Innova?
In champion plastic though?
I mean, you see it in Star Destroyers all the time, right? You see it. You get flippy destroyers. You get stable destroyers. Is it just the same, or are you saying that you reckon Champion's a little bit more consistent across the board generally?
Like, I would argue that plastic to plastic for Innova is relatively the same. So, like, if you have 2 Star Destroyers, they're going to throw relatively the same.
I don't know. Not I've certainly seen.
I
very
know that
different.
there's, since they've been releasing the Tour series, there's been a lot more variation from what I've seen.
Yeah.
As compared to their stock runs. So the idea of like a Philo destroyer versus a Calvin Heimberg destroyer versus a Ricky destroyer are all different. And so like each of those runs, but like within that run, it's the same. But like, yeah, the Mamba is just no. I'm not going to teach it to new players. I'm not going to give it to new players. I'm not going to recommend it to anyone. Kath is a great example. I've seen her throw one all of the places she doesn't want to throw one. I've seen Nat throw one. I think she's on to her second or third one now. She keeps throwing it away, and I tell her, don't replace it. You're losing it for a reason.
You should have told her that. She bought one from me on Saturday. So
she knows better. She
came to Oscar, and I have one reserved. She messaged me before and said, "Can I reserve one?" It looked incredibly a lot like the picture actually that you put up. It was a blue Champion. Anyway, so you want to put?
I think Mambas belong in the room. I think they're better discs. Throw a Leopard, throw a Roadrunner, throw a Sidewinder. If you want to, if you're a beginner disc and you're trying to learn, throw those. Don't throw a Mamba.
It throws good into trees. Yeah. Right. So, all right. Look, we'll be throwing the Mamba into room 101, whether it makes it through the door or not. We'll largely be lucky or not. But yes, we shall be putting the Mamba or throwing the Mamba into room 101, never to be seen again. Lovely stuff. Okay, I've got one more. I've got one more thing that winds me up. Now, this doesn't happen on sanctioned rounds, and it's obvious why. But it happens on casual rounds all the time. And that's when people, when they go to putt and they're close to be able to kind of touch the basket, they get their disc and they just slam the chains of it. They don't let go of the disc. It doesn't fall in the basket. They just slam the chains and walk away. Right. I know it's not a sanctioned round, and I know we're in the park and we're having some fun, and you're maybe having a few beers, whatever, right? And you can do what you like. It's not a competition. But don't half make me cringe when I see that. Don't half make me cringe. I know it shouldn't, probably, but I reckon there's not anybody watching this show who hasn't seen it or done
it. Give us this thumbs up, like this video if you've done it. If you've tapped out without releasing your disc.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it, right? And I feel bad for myself for doing it. And I'm sure everybody else has done it. But it's one of the things.
So you want to throw yourself into room 101? Is that what you're saying?
No, because people can change. People can change. People can see the error of their ways and then and not do things again. Rehabilitation notwithstanding. So it's what I really dislike. Bang, move on. Just put it in the freaking basket and count it, right? Like the amount of time, and I'll tell you why it kind of annoys me. Probably this is why it annoys me more than others. Is I played at Peter Crowther, maybe not this year gone, but the year before. 20 might have been 2020 that it was. Probably was 2020 actually. And it was so windy, and I must have missed putts that like are within that range. Do you know what I mean? Like, because it was so windy, and if I could have done that smash and it was like both in the rules and socially acceptable, then I would have done it, and I probably would have saved myself a few shots. But when I see it now, it just makes me cringe, because it's a habit that new people get into, and they see it being done, and they see, oh, this is an easy, I don't know, way of putting out without me having to putt. I don't know what it is, and then it's just something which you then has to be corrected if ever they want to go and play in any kind of sanctioned event, right? Makes me cringe. But you know what? You see it all the time. You go down the park, you see groups of players, families out playing their first round of disc golf in the summer, and it's fine, right? And I get it. I love seeing people who you don't normally see around the disc golf course having a go at playing disc golf. But when they slam the chains, a little part of me dies, and so it's that's what I'd like to chuck into Room 101 as my final.
So I need to play devil's advocate here, though, right? So like the idea
you should have a go.
So how old's Devin now?
Devin is 2.5.
Okay, so like, can she? I was gonna say, besides like hole 2 at Barrenport, like she's gonna have like a real hard time like standing up and dropping a disc in the basket, isn't she?
Oh no, she's
just tall, kind of like.
No, she's tall enough to drop it into the basket. She's quite a tall 2-year-old.
And so she never just kind of like stops and like taps it on the cage and like, like is good and walks to the next hole.
No, but she foot faults a lot. She travels if she was to use an ultimate analogy, and will just walk up to the basket and put it in the cage. But yes, no, as soon as she can get the idea that it's a game that you throw the disc rather than walk with it, then I'll be teaching her to putt appropriately. She is a member of the PGA after all, so it's important that she learns the rules.
Okay, so vertically challenged people, like just tapping chains.
No. I'm sorry, you twisted this now because I'm not having a pop at vertically challenged people at all. Because actually, I would argue it's more effort to slam the chains than it is to simply drop it. And so it's not like you've saving any energy. And it's not a height thing either, because arguably it's harder for taller people. But I would say that that's the second thing I'm putting into Room 101 as one of my pet hates. And if I never saw it on the disc golf course again, by experienced players or otherwise, then I'd be a happier man for it.
But now what, couldn't it kind of be considered like a disc golf dunk, right? So like in basketball, normally it's a shooting sport, right? So like you shoot, it goes into the net, it drops in, right? But like a dunk, you don't let go of the basketball until like the last second. So like a dunk in basketball or like netball is similar to like, like kind of smashing chains.
Except a dunk is legally acceptable within the rules of the sport, right? Whereas slamming the chains like that isn't. And if you want to dunk in disc golf, then I reckon if you want to look impressive putting in disc golf, you do it from 30 feet rather than 3 inches. So,
but that would be a travel, wouldn't it? You can't really you would be outside the circle, so you could theoretically like jump, dunk it, and then display balance by coming back behind your line.
No. It's a pretty ropey argument, if I'm honest. I don't think it really compares, honestly. Yeah.
Well, and theoretically, even in a dunk, you have to like let go of the basketball
precisely
so that it can go through the hoop, even though you hold on to it for the last second.
Yeah.
So that idea that you could smash it into the chains and then release it.
And then off. Nah. Drop it in, count it, wait for it to come to rest, and then go again.
And is it only the chains part? So like, what if we removed the chain so that there was only the basket? Like, would that solve the tap out issue? Or do you think people would just kind of like tap the pole? Well, no, like so that you have to drop it in the basket.
Yeah, you should putt like you should putt. You should have to finish the hole. Right.
I was just trying to make sure it wasn't like the noise or the chains specifically.
I'm not averse to the noise of sweet chains, as you well know. But it's not that at all. It's the finish the hole, right? Drop the disc into the basket and finish the hole. Is what I've got a problem with.
Okay, I also this can go in the room. I was trying to play devil's advocate as best I could. Arguably, the idea that this casual play, like send it away. The idea of like being a tournament director and the amount of times, like I've been in PDJ sanctioned events with players I've known for a long time and watched them have someone else tap out for them, and I'm just like.
Actually, on that subject, I don't know if you've seen it. There's the Paul Macbeth Foundation have recently put a course into Guatemala, right?
Yep.
And Jomez went and filmed a round, and they've got Joey Tamale and Chris Gwinner, who are two locals. I think they live there or they're there temporarily. Joey Tamale's a 995 rated disc golfer, plays on the tour, finishes in the top 80 quite often. And they played around with Paul Macbeth. Chris Gwinner was the course designer. And on more than one occasion, you see Joey Tamale pick up Paul Macbeth's disc when he's parked and throw it back to him. And I know it's a casual round, but it's being filmed, and I watched it and I was like, I mean, would you do it? I mean, I know but you wouldn't though, would you? Oh, I don't know.
Well, what's your stance on gimmies? So clearly you don't like us tapping out by just tapping
Finish
chains.
the hole. No,
okay.
Do it. Finish the hole. If it's that easy, what's the problem? Finish the hole. No, I'm not. I'm not one for gimmies at all. I don't know.
Neither am I. Feel free to play me in match play. I will make you tap out everything.
And I'm pretty sure. Look, I'm sure that he didn't mind. We've lost Brady temporarily. There he is.
I'm back.
Yeah, and you got home quick.
I know. Yeah, crazy.
and I know he didn't mind, but it did make me gasp somewhat when I saw it. Anyway, right. Is there anything else that we should be putting into room 101 whilst we have the door ajar?
Yeah, I do have one other thing that I wish would jump or step into room 101.
Go on.
I would like jump putts or step putts to go into room 101.
Why is this? Is it because Ryan Kitto was embarrassing you at the weekend with how good they were, or what's this?
So it goes to that honor thing that I talked about before, and that etiquette thing, like that idea of like honoring the green, and don't get me wrong, like step putts are great. I love that people can do them. Maybe just put that circle out to like 20 meters. Like none of this like circle's edge. Is it in? Is it out? Like that idea of if it's not marked on a course, no jump putts or step putts are allowed. Like that idea of, I just think
even if you're obviously miles away, like you're way down the fairway. Oh, but then you'd be because there's plenty of times, right, where you're obviously at least 30, 40 meters out, and you might go, oh, actually, I don't need to full send or stand still this. I can give it a little bit of the run. Maybe it's downhill. I don't know.
Interesting. I'll play devil's advocate for myself. That idea of, what if we just took all of the in front of your lie, in front of maybe only the tee box is the only time you're allowed in front of your lie.
Oh, so you've got to display balance for every shot.
Yeah, why not? You can step into it. We've got the cornhole putt guy who's on the pro tour now. Why do you need to step in front? Why do you need to jump over?
No, I don't. I'm not sure if I agree with this one. Actually, I'm not sure if I agree with this. And I'll tell you for why. It's a when you see somebody, and I'll pick a pro that's kind of known to do this. In the form of Paige Pierce, who's you've seen many times make jump putts from 20, 30 meters, and she's flying through the air. Are you saying that's bad etiquette to play that shot?
Ooh, interesting. Etiquette is not the word that I would use for it. Like this idea of, so Paige Pierce is a great example of, I would describe her like putting style more of that kind of like reckless abandon of self, like the full layout, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair enough. Mm-hmm.
And so that idea of, what if she had to display balance? What if she couldn't like fall on her face on the disc golf course?
Yeah, but that's that she inside 10 meters. She has to, because that's the rule.
Yeah. So like I'm talking about outside, like that
Oh,
10 to 20 meter
okay.
range.
Okay. So specifically, you'd like the rule about displaying balance to be stretched to circle 2, and it's that part of the rule that you want going into room 101 rather than jump
Yeah.
putts themselves.
Yeah. I want jump putts and step putts between 10 and 20 meters to go in the room.
Why don't you like them, actually, just out of interest? What's your why don't you like them?
I guess I just want to see more skill. The idea of that, like, baskets as they're designed now were designed for ultra stars. They were not designed for disc golf discs. They're too big. So the idea that you can brute force and throw as hard as you want, for the most part, hit the chains, have it drop in the basket to make it, and the idea that you can use your body's momentum to aid to that decreases the amount of skill required to make a putt. And so the idea of to increase the skill of this sport to have a larger scoring separation, I think
all right,
step putts need to move out.
Right. This is an interesting one, actually, because it's a counter to make a narrower basket, right? So you've seen the marksman's baskets that you can get to practice on, which are thinner. It's essentially the inner chains, if you haven't seen them. That encourages better putting because you have to hit a smaller margin, right? You can't hit far right side and have the chains do the work for you. I guess so. You're saying that would help in making disc golf harder at the top, at the highest level, right?
Yep. Yeah, trying to increase the required skill to play well. Don't get me wrong. Ryan brings up a great point. There is still skill. There is still hand-eye coordination that is required to make any type of putt, whether a step is involved or not.
Are many players at the top of the game jump putting inside 20 meters?
Arguably the best 10 putter. Ooh, that would be really interesting. And I think you wanted to touch upon and kind of pick some USDGC stuff. But I think the top 10 are spin putters.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say, like, you think I'm trying to think of anybody whose putt.
Chris Dickerson might be on the cusp.
Yeah.
Who step putts? I know Calvin does a step putt, but his is more kind of that circle 2, circle 3 range.
Yeah. Okay. That's an interesting one. Interesting one. Right. I'm not sure, but I do like the idea of James Conrad. Obviously, yeah. I do like I potentially like that idea as a way of, because I don't think baskets should be made thinner, right? So there's been an argument. There's been an argument that perhaps baskets should be made thinner at the highest level. I don't agree with that at all. But there's the idea that you have to show balance within circle 2. I think is a way of perhaps having the same effect as a smaller basket, potentially, because it requires more power within a standstill throw, right?
Yeah. Well, and
the
the idea of,
you try to force into it, the less accurate it'll be, arguably.
And what if you took away the chains? What if you just made it a basket, made it a cup, and, put it in the air rather than having a hole in the ground?
Okay. Yeah,
there are many ways to skin a cat when it comes to increasing the skill required to finish a hole.
Yeah. And it is finishing the hole generally that is the kind of separator. Okay. I think we've gone a little bit off track. I'm not quite sure what we're putting into room 101, but you want to put step putts into room 101.
Step putts into 101.
Step putts into room 101. I'm not sure. If we can go with that. Quick show of hands. If you think that step putts ought to be go into room 101, put a hashtag chuck them in, and if you think that they shouldn't, put hashtag safe.
Hashtag step it out. Or hashtag step it in.
Okay. Right, and we'll come back to it after we've done some picks for US DGC and for Topor. So 2 big events happening this weekend. One is US DGC in Winthrop, and the other is the Topor Thermal Throwdown. Where do we want to start with our picks? Let's first up go through some. Let's do rankings and upcoming events first, actually, and we'll do picks when we get to the events bit. Right, Brady, you're playing in the Thermal Throwdown.
I am indeed. I get to play MPO as well. I'm excited.
Ooh.
I might get to play with some MPO players this weekend. We'll find out.
So upcoming events, then it's the Thermal Throwdown this weekend. It is sold out up in Topor. There might be some waitlist spots available, but otherwise it is sold out. Moonbase in Twizel is next weekend, and then Bethel's Coastal Classic is the weekend after, quickly followed by Waitapu, and then the Bros for Change Charity Classic, both of which are sold out. The Temuka Tussle is the same day as Faultline Fury, and Faultline is sold out. Dirt the Lake is on the 4th of December. Christchurch Fling, registrations open at the end of this month. Egg Monster is registrations are open now, and Roxburgh Open registrations open in just over a week's time. And then we've got Wellington Centurion. Highlander, registrations open for this. I know there's lots of big tournaments down south towards the end of the summer. However, if you are in the area or you've never been to Highlander before, I'd encourage you to go. I went last year, incredible fun, on a lovely course, and did even put on a great show all the time. And so it's a lovely place to go. So I'd encourage anybody who can to get there. South Island Champs, Garden City Open, registration opened yesterday. I registered. I'm in. Flights are booked. We're ready to go. This is going to be good. Brady, are you playing in South Island Champs? Do you think you'll get down?
Yeah, I hope to. I get to have that conversation tomorrow at work, being like, "Yeah, can I please have the month of February and March off of next year?" We'll see how that goes. I'll let you know next week.
Excellent. And then it's nationals. Actually, South Island Champs, I'm registered for MPO. I've got one last hurrah playing with the big boys before I slope off to MA40 for the next 10 years. So New Zealand Nationals comes a month after in March, and then North Island Champs in Topor 2 weeks after that. Some changes to the rankings. Gone too far. First of all, in the FPO division, Liana Christina drops out of the rankings altogether, as does Gemma Sullivan, due to not playing enough events in the last group of events in order to qualify for a ranking. She returns. The next tournament I think she's playing in is Nationals in Invercargill, so we shall see her then. So Eilish Kumak moves up to 4th spot, one ahead of Nicola Stout, following her win at the weekend. And we've got Victoria Speller, who had a very good. She played very well at, where was it? The
Extreme.
Was it the Extreme? Sorry, Victoria. I should know this.
Yeah, I thought it was Extreme.
It was the Extreme. She came. She won the Extreme. So played very well there. Beat out Paul Wilson and Fiona Menzies. And over in the men's division, the reason why you see so many people moving up is because David Keane has unfortunately fallen out of the rankings due to the same reason as Liana. So everybody moves up 1. Ashton Clark, 2nd place at Armageddon, moves him up 7 places to 19. The big mover this week was Hayden Shaw, who moves up 40 spaces to 64th. So well done to Hayden. So over to the Topor Throwdown then. Let's have a look at the lineup for that. Quite a small MPO field that's going to be playing in the Throwdown. Let's just grab the...
I was going to say, who am I playing against?
Relatively small field. You're up against Mark Dakiv, Toby Gentle, Andy Davey, Dane Sales, Conor McKinstry, and Francis Orange in MPO. Looking down, I think the winner is going to come from that division. And who does the Sweet Chain rankings say is going to take this one out? According to the rankings, Conor McKinstry will be taking out the victory over Mark Dakiv, with Andy Davey finishing in third place. So we'll wait to see what happens there. And in the ladies division, big ladies division, actually, we've got lots of Wellingtonians heading up, which is great to see. There's four Wellingtonians in the ladies division there. And it's probably going to be a battle between Victoria Speller and Paula Wilson in the ladies division. Over to USDGC, which is also being played this weekend. Brady, any picks for us? Who's your money on?
I got to go with Paul. He's been pulling it out here late in the season. So, I can't really look past him to keep it clean. His putts probably look the best it has all year. Yeah. I'll pick my Discraft man, Paul Macbeth.
Yeah, look, it's hard. It is hard to look past him. I'd really like to see Vinny do some win a big tournament. He's always there. He's always thereabouts, but rarely there. And so that's what I'd like to see. I'd like to see him step up and hit the win at the weekend. And in terms of the ladies division, they've got the Throw Pink Championships.
Kristen, she's playing.
Yeah,
she's made every podium since this entire year. One of the few people to actually do it. You can count that list on one hand. And most of them started playing in the men's division because they kept winning in the women's division. Juliana Korver was just talking about that today. I got to go with Kristen. Kristen takes another one.
Yeah. If you are a Disc Golf Network subscriber, then you will have access to all of the rounds for free. There's no paywall this year, and it's the MPO division kicks off, or tees off, I should say, at 7:30 tomorrow morning, I think. So you're up early and you've got Friday off work. Lucky you. Tune in to Disc Golf. Brady, best of luck this Saturday and Sunday at Topol. We shall be following intently. And we'll hear all of the gossip and results from you next weekend, wherever you're playing disc golf. Take it easy, play well, get some birdies, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.